Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. To start things off, Bitcoin payment processor known as OpenNode has successfully conducted a seed round. The project has raised 1.25 million US dollars with prominent Bitcoin proponent Tim Draper and Draper Associates. I'll get back to why Tim Draper is very important in a couple of seconds. OpenNode is a Bitcoin payment processor describing itself as the easiest way to accept Bitcoin. The company has announced that it managed to close a 1.25 million US dollar seed round with venture capitalist and prominent Bitcoin proponent Tim Draper. That Tim right there. I'm pretty sure if you've watched other videos or have been in crypto for at least a month and a half, you've definitely heard of this guy. He has been all over the news constantly. He's like one of, I want to say, Bitcoin's biggest fans, if that can kind of say that. Anyway, according to the official Medium blog post, the investment will be designated for scaling the team and guaranteeing legal compliance and networking. Speaking on the matter with Joao Almeida, CTO and co-founder at OpenNode, they noted, and I quote, "With the close of the seed round, we have the opportunity to scale the team and accelerate the pace of Bitcoin's adoption. Along with scaling, a portion of our investment will go towards legal services to ensure OpenNode's compliance," end quote. Additionally, Almeida also made it clear that they've intentionally selected Draper Associates as their investor because they share their vision of hyper-Bitcoinization. Sharing the word was also Tim Draper himself. He said, and this is the weird part, "Finally, now you will be able to use Bitcoin to buy Starbucks, Amazon.com, Teslas, houses, etc. Fast transactions," end quote. Here's the actual tweet for it. The reason I say this is kind of weird, looking back a tiny bit for those who were here at maybe the beginning of the year, sometime around there, we had, so Tim Draper is, like I said before, he's constantly in the news. One of the things that caught my ears, about something that he said before was, I think this was even 2017. He said, in 5 years, when you walk into a Starbucks and try to pay and you're not paying in Bitcoin, people will laugh at you. And I remember I made a video about like that portion of the thing that he has said, and it was very weird. Because at that point, no one even thought about widespread cryptocurrency adoption, nonetheless being able to use Bitcoin inside of a Starbucks. Fast forward to the summer, that's when we had confirmation. It was complete confirmation from the people from the New York Stock Exchange who created the thing called Bakkt, BAKKT, where they announced that the first 2 companies who had signed up for Bakkt to be able to receive Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as payment in end of 2018, early 2019 now, were Starbucks and Microsoft. And I thought that was kind of weird that he announced that Starbucks would be a place where you would be able to spend Bitcoin. And now I think other people just aren't simply catching on. First of all, Tim Draper is a very rich guy. I've said it before, all rich people know other rich people. The fact that he has mentioned Amazon.com, buying Teslas and houses, houses probably being one of the craziest ones, through Bitcoin specifically, as he is, I don't know if he's like a hyper Bitcoin maximalist. I'm pretty sure he owns a couple of other coins. The point is, I think he's once again slipped and announced for everyone in the entire world to pretty much listen to that Bitcoin is going to at some point be accepted on Amazon by Tesla and through some sort of real estate company, housing authority or something like that, where you will be able to buy flats and or apartments and or houses, whatever the case might be, which is also something that we spoke about before in a couple of other videos where I was talking about. I am in a position right now where I feel like myself personally, that crypto is going to get so large that I actually cringe sometimes when I think of having to like actually cash out of crypto. And I said before, I wish I could just simply buy homes and stuff like that, or houses, what have you, simply with cryptocurrencies as opposed to having to swap back into fiat. And that's why this also caught my eye. Don't be surprised if in 2019 we get some type of confirmation, because we still had the thing from the New York Stock Exchange. This is all tying together. We haven't had proper, I mean, I assume you can't have every single financial transaction happening between venture capitalists and or organizations, companies, whatever you kind of want to call them, we can't have like a news article about every single one of them. That's just not possible. I can only assume that in some way Tim Draper is probably indirectly or maybe even slightly directly tied to the New York Stock Exchange and or ICE, or knows about their future plans because he may have put a couple $100 million forward to be able to help build their infrastructure. Whatever the case might be, don't be surprised if in 2019 we have confirmation from the backed people who said a couple of weeks ago that they have also just signed recently a couple more new people onto their backed system, like major household companies and stuff like that. I think people are underplaying. That's not the thing I'm trying to say. People don't understand the significance of the backed platform. The fact that we thought for many years that it would take the general time frame was 5 to 10 years. This is even before Tim Draper gave that time frame for Starbucks, that it would take for companies to even think about beginning to try to want to accept Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as a payment method. And the fact that this is going to happen now, all but confirmed, maybe a bit delayed by a couple of days or weeks, what have you, that they're going to be able to accept all of these things is incredibly big news. This means that we are in 2019. That is a couple of days from now, maybe not the very beginning of 2019, but what have you, that we are going to live in a world where the major brands that we buy from are going to be accepting cryptocurrencies. I think a lot of people, once again, are too focused on the Bitcoin ETF or what China's doing, or how there was also some other news story that I don't have inside here. There was some other country who's trying to get around sanctions from the U.S. And it's such a huge fraction of the news. And it's like people are really not understanding that either next year or as things, the hype builds up in a year and a half, 6 months to, I'm going to say 13, 14 months from now, we're going to be living in a world where we can buy almost anything with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. I don't know how that's not blowing everyone's mind. Maybe it's because I am too excited about everything. I don't really know exactly what it could be. There was also something inside of here as well. I don't remember exactly where it was. So the whole thing is that the processor who just got the 1.25 million from investors, they also support the Bitcoin protocol implementation such as the Lightning Network and SegWit. Last month we saw that the Bitcoin Lightning Network had it completely exploded, and I said in another video as well. I think Lightning Network had been seen as this major innovation thing that was going to be coming to the Bitcoin network for quite a long time. It was at least 2 years that it was spoken about. Eventually, it lulled down. No one was really talking about it. Lightning Network launched at the beginning of this year. Everyone completely went insane. Oh my gosh, we finally have the Lightning Network. No one was using it. People were barely opening up any nodes. I think at one point there were, the network capacity was around 11 Bitcoin, and then there was some other guy, I can't remember his name, some other rich guy. He's always on a private jet. He bought I think twice as many nodes as were already on the network, and he was trying to show how the Lightning Network can be easily bought and so blah 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 blah. No one was using Lightning. It was very few people who were trying to make anything on top of it or the use for it. And around the same exact time that we had information from the New York Stock Exchange that Bakkt was going to be launching, that's when we had news that the nodes on the Lightning Network had shot up by 400%. The next week, it was 800%. By the end of last month, it was a 1,600% increase over the course of a 6-week period. And I said I would find it unsurprising if when we do finally hear from the New York Stock Exchange about anything that they're trying to accept or whatever, you cannot, CANNOT, build a worldwide Bitcoin payment network and just use Bitcoin. We saw what happened before when Bitcoin hit $20,000 and the network was clogged up for weeks. I'm almost certain at this point that Lightning is going to be used for Bakkt or by Bakkt. And the moment that we get proper clarification on that, I personally think myself and I know that I say that a lot, but I have to clarify because I don't want to say something and everyone's like, he said that someone else said and they said that so-and-so. No, it's all me. It's stuff that's happening in my brain. These are my opinions. When we get confirmation that the New York Stock Exchange and probably the NASDAQ as well are going to be using the Bitcoin Lightning Network, the amount of rich people around the world who are going to be looking into that and trying to figure out exactly what it is, that number is going to completely explode. And when that does happen, the amount of nodes that we're going to have on the Lightning Network are going to also grow exponentially. I'm going to assumption that we're going to have probably a 10x of the amount of nodes that we have from this moment right now by the middle of 2019. Because if we get confirmation on that and people figure out that you can use the Lightning Network and essentially buy a node, some of them I find a bit too expensive, what have you, buy a node and therefore be able to receive some type of compensation for having a payment network open on the Lightning Network, it's going to completely change the world of payments. We know that there are other coins that are a lot quicker and faster and stronger and amazinger than Bitcoin, but Lightning is probably going to be the thing that is going to be used on top of all of this. Didn't mean to spend too much time, but you got to understand, like, the world is about to change rapidly. The fact that we have confirmation that all these things are going to be launching in 2019 is going to be something incredibly insane for a lot of people. I don't think people get it. I'm hoping, my hope is that everyone who's in crypto right now, that we will be the ones to heavily benefit from the prices going up. Because as we all know, when Bitcoin goes up, regardless of any other news, every other coin also gets dragged up along with it. I can't wait. And I assume that they're going to do this at the beginning of January next year. The people from the Intercontinental Exchange announced that they had obviously signed on other people and that they were going to, I guess, assume they're going to announce them within the next couple of weeks. If their entire thing is going to be launching at the end of January next year, one can only assume that they're going to give us a hint or some of the names of the big names. And if Amazon or Tesla is anywhere in that sentence that they say, someone needs to comb through everything that Tim Draper has said in the last 4 months, because he keeps giving away stuff. And even Starbucks a year and a half ago sounded really weird, talking about going into a Starbucks and paying with Bitcoin. That sounded like, who would do that? Why would anybody want to do that? Lo and behold, it's all real. It's all happening. And I think Lightning is probably going to be incredibly large. I already told you guys before, I thought about opening up a couple of Lightning nodes. But that one company who pre-created them or whatever, I think it was like $300 or something like that. I'm not in the mood to spend that amount on anything right now. I'd rather buy crypto. Anyway, after all of that, let's move on. This is incredibly big news. I'm trying to make you understand how extremely large this is. Tim Draper is constantly in the news about cryptocurrencies. He has funded so many things. It's him and what's the other guy? Peter Thiel. If you ever hear Peter Thiel or Tim Draper talking about something, you usually should try and follow the money, because they make sure to invest in things that are probably going to work, and usually the things that they have put their money into usually end up working. Just gonna kind of say it that way. Next up, we have news from Bermuda. The Financial Services Regulator of Bermuda, the Bermuda Monetary Authority, or the BMA, is inviting comments on a draft code of practice for digital asset custody that it has released. The purpose of the code of practice is to offer protection to the public while clarifying the expectations of the authority with regards to digital asset custody. The Digital Services Regulator has set the 18th of January 2019 as the deadline for receiving feedback, according to a statement issued by the BMA. The rest isn't really important. This is yet again another country, another nation who has come forward talking about that they are making sure that they're, even though these are custody rules, this is still very important. Every other country around the world is diligently and or now quickly making sure that their cryptocurrency rules and or laws are in line, and that people in their country know exactly what's happening as well. And I don't think this is a mistake, or rather, I don't think this is random. I think they're all doing it because they see what's coming. And if you realistically don't have something set by the middle of next year, your country's probably going to be losing out on a lot of money, because I think that this industry is going to completely explode in 2019. Not the bad explosion, but like the good, like going up explosion. Just to clarify that. And people, I say things sometimes and people in the comment section are like, why are you talking about crypto gonna die, bro? And I'm like, I didn't say that. Maybe you haven't been paying attention to the last 700 videos that I made. I don't think crypto's dying anytime soon. Anyway, the point is, a very good job for Bermuda and any other country who may have put out cryptocurrency laws and or anything that lets their citizens know that what they're doing is not illegal. And sometimes maybe you just have to fill out a couple of pieces of paper to be able to do stuff. Let's move on. Next up, cryptocurrency businesses find it apparently almost impossible to get insurance, and this is deterring investors. The Big Four auditor known as PricewaterhouseCoopers told Reuters on the 20th of December. In comments focusing on the global fintech market, Henry Arslanian, The firm's fintech and crypto leader for Asia highlighted the contradictory status quo industry businesses face trying to attract funding. He said, and I quote, "Most institutionally minded crypto firms want to buy proper insurance, and in many cases, getting adequate insurance covers it as a regulatory or legal requirement," end quote. He also said that, not important, the paradox is made more painful by investors' persisting high levels of interest and getting into the space. Reuters adds, quoting a September survey that placed such interest at 72% to get into the cryptocurrency space among institutional investors. Following a year of heavy losses for participants and issuers of ICOs in particular, investment and long-term prospects of crypto operators has come under the spotlight once more. What we've had and probably are going to, and I hope it ends very soon, one of the main problems of 2017, and we thought that it would have gone, rather we didn't even think it was an option when we were into cryptocurrencies in 2017 and even more so 2016. These news stories would kind of pop up and we didn't really, I guess, pay much attention to it because we assumed that they had kind of missed the mark or were trying to aim at the wrong thing. There was a big problem with cryptocurrency companies trying to open up bank accounts, and many banks, the moment they found out that the organization or the crypto startup were dealing in cryptocurrencies and or Bitcoin and or anything that was digital that wasn't the fiat currency from their country, they were closing their accounts, they were freezing their accounts, they were telling them to go away, find somebody else, and it was a huge big thing. And then other banks started saying that you couldn't buy crypto on credit, you couldn't buy it with your bank account. There was also a situation, I can't remember, I want to say it was Bank of America, but I don't think it was them, maybe JP Morgan, where people were trying to buy crypto from Coinbase and their accounts were also being frozen because it said on their bank statement the word Coinbase. So what we have right now is that in order to become a crypto company, you need to A, have a bank account to be able to handle your funds, and B, you need to have insurance to be able to insure the funds that you are holding for the people who are investing or have put money and or have money through you in your cryptocurrency thing. And now we have a whole bunch of other places who are trying to make sure that they do not give insurance to cryptocurrency firms. So the cycle continues. The way that we've gotten around this a tiny bit in 2018, at least, as a thing from how Litecoin just bought a bank, that German exchange just bought a bank. And I can only assume that this is also maybe happening behind the scenes as well. Hopefully, 2 other crypto projects have bought a bank, a small bank, something to be able to help other crypto startups be able to open an account with them so that they can kind of get the ball rolling, and or that they maybe offer some type of insurance. I'm pretty sure logically there's at least one insurance company somewhere in the world that will insure cryptocurrency things, but sometimes it comes down to like a landlocked thing. Like if you're in the States, you can't usually go to like Guatemala and ask them for insurance and then try to get that covered in the United States. Let's hope that this ends up, I mean, I hope that all this talk of legitimacy from major institutions and New York stock exchanges and other exchanges and so that they will kind of open the door for other insurance companies to kind of give the thumb up to kind of say, hey, yeah, you can definitely do this. Because as of right now, it's just it's like stupid politics. Like it's just people trying to make sure that crypto doesn't advance and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where they know that crypto is going to be successful, so I think they're trying to just kind of throw stones and twigs in front of the whole industry, trying to stop them. But this isn't going to stop anytime soon, and I hope that someone in the cryptocurrency space opens some type of an insurance thing so that crypto startups can get the money and insurance that they need to be able to continue. All right, let's move on. Next up, this one's kind of interesting. Peter Brandt, the man who predicted the Bitcoin price dropping 85% in 2018, that's now, has appeared to call capitulation on the largest cryptocurrency. In a tweet on the 20th of December, Brandt, who in January this year warned Bitcoin was headed to below $4,000, reacted to this week's sudden reversal of price declines across crypto markets at the beginning of the year. For those who were not here, if someone told you when Bitcoin had hit $20,000 that it was headed for $4,000, everyone laughed. I remember there was a video a couple weeks after the year had begun where people were talking about, I think Bitcoin was headed to like 8,000, and I was like, there's no way. I was like, come on, it just kind of doesn't make any sense. We had a lot of people who were talking about that Bitcoin's price in April was going to like 40,000, 50,000, 80,000 by the end of the year. And like these were like prominent investors. These were people who were like really, I want to say, did their due diligence. Maybe they have been analysts for quite some time and they're maybe more or less popular or well known because a lot of their analytics have been accurate. The point is, this person actually called it out and everyone assumed that he was completely insane. There's a photo of him smiling. He said, anyone want to know why cryptos are rallying hard? He said it's called capitulation for at least a time. He commented, posting a comparison of annual highs and lows for Bitcoin and 6 major altcoins. Here's a chart for those who aren't, for those who aren't looking, you know what the prices were and where they are now. Where's the rest of it? In January, he had declared an end to Bitcoin's parabolic rise at $20,000, predicting a drop of at least 80%, a bold and impressive call in retrospect, giving the bullish euphoria at the time. We have a lot of analysts who are coming forward now, and they are talking about that they think that we have officially bottomed in price, especially at the time. This was made 2 days ago, give or take. And the low of Bitcoin was 31.28, somewhere around there. Bitcoin is now hovering around 39. People think, and I dare not speculate with money, but that we may have officially hit the point where everything has kind of converged to this one point, and prices are going to potentially continue rising. It's all a speculation, what have you, but it usually means a lot when during a huge euphoric moment, especially when we hit $20,000 that someone is calling for a $4,000 Bitcoin, and then we actually end up hitting it, and it kind of makes us seem ridiculous in hindsight that we thought that prices were. I mean, you know, when we had that period, everyone thought there were very few people who thought that Bitcoin was going to go down any lower. We had reached this point where we knew that institutions were definitely getting into the space. A lot of people who are calling for a low have said that we have hit a low and maybe aren't going to go any lower. They're now calling for like new all-time highs in 2019, which is very, very, very exciting. Here's a weird one. 2 members of the U.S. House of Representatives are seeking to exempt cryptocurrencies and certain other digital assets from federal securities laws. The so-called Token Taxonomy Act was introduced on Thursday by Reps Warren Davidson and Darren Soto, a move that comes month after a roundtable in Washington, D.C. that sought input about regulatory measures from the industry. According to the text, the bill, among other items, seeks to exclude digital tokens from being defined as securities, amending both the Securities Acts of 1933 and the Securities Act of 1934. The definition has several components, all of which center around a degree of decentralization in which no one person or entity has control over an asset's development or operation. This ostensibly would clear the way for cryptocurrencies that don't have a central controller to be spared a securities designation. The bill defines digital tokens as digital units created in response to the verification or collection of proposed transactions, mining, or an initial allocation of digital units that will otherwise be created as in pre-mined. These tokens must be governed by rules for the digital units creation and supply that cannot be altered by a single person or group of persons under common control, pretty much meaning no one entity controlling 51% of anything. If you control more than 51% of the network, you are therefore centralized, and therefore you are a security, and therefore if you do not control, one single person does not, or a group of persons is not able to alter the digital units creation and or supply, therefore it is then not a security. If this is going to get passed, I'm going to say there's probably a 1.5% chance, just realistically, and that doesn't come down to the fact that, first of all, I have no idea who these people are. It comes more down to the fact that I think that the U.S. is, just speculation, that they're trying to push back against the cryptocurrency space, whether it be because of the fact, maybe at this point, and I don't want to use the F word, the fact word, the fact that they may see Bitcoin and or other cryptocurrencies as a threat to the US dollar, the fact that they may think that they can try to hamper innovation within the country and therefore the rest of the world won't kind of move forward. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I think, or I'm certain at this point, that a lot of other agencies, financial agencies within the United States seem hungry or thirsty or desperate to be able to control cryptocurrencies in some sort of aspect within their country. We've seen a lot of other countries also mimicking the thing that they have where they're trying to declare cryptocurrencies as securities simply because, one, they're mimicking the US because no backbone. And the other thing is that I think they're afraid of not putting them in some type of a corner to be able to tax them and or say that you are this. Cryptocurrencies are very new. They're very scary to people who haven't looked into them. And when you have no idea how to classify something, the easiest thing for you to do is pretty much say, okay, well, this looks very similar to that. Like this, it's a cupcake, but you look like a cake. So let's stick you with the other cakes. And that's kind of where you're going to stay until we figure out exactly, how to deal with you. I know that sounded a bit weird. I think I'm just hungry. Anyway, the point is, it's nice that we do have people in the in any capacity and any government around the world who are trying to push cryptocurrencies forward or make sure that they're not hampered in some sort of way, because governments are actively trying to get rid of this to try and push down any type of movement and or growth. So it's nice to hear that we do have proponents isn't the word I'm looking for. People who like us. That's also not the word I'm looking for, but you get what I'm saying. It's nice to hear this. Whether it's going to pass, I don't know, but it's nice to hear that we have people rooting for us in governmental houses. To kind of finish this all off, U.S. stocks declined sharply on Thursday, with the NASDAQ Composite Index flirting with bear market conditions for the first time since 2019. All of Wall Street's major indexes headed for deep losses, extending a week-long streak that threatens to unravel a decade-long bull market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by more than 400 points towards new yearly lows. At the time of writing, 27 of 30 index members had reported losses. Here's the actual chart. If you've been watching television over the last couple of days, it's been like a bittersweet moment. First of all, I have expressed curiosity in how we've had a 10-year-long bull anything after the 2008 crash. It's a bit perplexing, if you will, simply because the situation was never really fixed. More money was printed. It was thrown at the government and at banks and at other institutions, and pretty much everyone was like, okay, things are better now. The fact that it's taken this long to have any type of a dip, almost said something, is a bit ridiculous. The broader S&P 500 index plunged 1.6%. Where it's stuck about so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Sliding tech shares pushed the NASDAQ Composite Index to the brink of a bear market, which is usually defined as a decline of 20 or more percent from the most recent peak. The tech-heavy average was at last 1%. So what we have now heading into the new year is people are either saying that if the normal stock market does not have their own little Santa Claus rally, Santa Christmas Carol rally, that things will head down even further in 2019, simply because this is typically the time of year when people sell off their stocks or try to make some type of a profit to be able to pay off their taxes. And also the other situation that we have right now is that there is a huge pushback in the states, specifically against Amazon, against Google, and against Facebook. I don't want to go into specifics as to exactly why that's happening, but people are wondering, or once again, we get back to that same situation where the stock market, the traditional stock markets, are going down, and crypto is or was going up and is not doing as bad as the stock market. I still believe, and I've believed for quite some time, and I think everything is slowly aligning itself in life, the universe, the world, whatever you want to call it. The fact that we had, remember sometime around the summertime, I was saying, I thought it was very weird that the NASDAQ had announced they were getting into cryptocurrencies when the market was at an all-time high. Is it somewhere on this chart? No. Anyway, that they had announced that they were getting into cryptocurrencies as the market was doing very well. And I thought it was also weird that the New York Stock Exchange announced it. I thought it was weird that we had so many institutional investors who thought about getting into the cryptocurrency space as our prices were falling and as their prices were going up. And especially when we had people from the New York Stock Exchange announcing that they thought that the crypto markets could become the stock market 2.0. I said in the video, I said, don't you think that's kind of weird that they would be like gunning for crypto out of nowhere? Like, if you're doing this well, you're usually like, well, I don't care about crypto. Why should I care about this dying fad? And now their markets are crashing down. Our markets are at least slowly, tiny bit, going back up. I still believe that the major players in the game, typically when you read books about the past crashes and the past things that have happened in the traditional stock markets, and you read about like the major players, like you've seen these people, like they're like 103-year-old guys, and they're like sitting on some television show, like talking into a lens, and they're like, yeah, we knew from the beginning that this was going to happen. I think that they knew that the bull run of the stock market couldn't last much longer. It was unsustainable. The thing, like I said before, in 2008 was never fixed. We've seen a lot of the people who were handing out those horrible loans for houses and stuff like that in 2008 and 7 and 6 and 5. They're basically repackaging them now, and they're handing them out to people again who can't afford to be able to pay a mortgage. So I think they saw what was coming. This is why I think it's not a mistake. Come on, the NASDAQ getting into cryptocurrencies, why would they do that? I'm pretty sure they saw what was coming. They saw that there was going to be some type of an imminent fall, and this is why they all announced their support for cryptocurrencies moving into the new year. Interesting to see exactly what's going to happen. Like I said, bittersweet. I don't want people in the traditional markets, because there are like small families and stuff like that who do have their money in these markets, who are hoping for this may be their nest egg for the future. But on the other side, it's always like I want the traditional financial world to kind of collapse so that we can build up a new, better, more transparent, fairer one, if you can kind of say that. But that's kind of my own ideologies when it comes to finance. I like things to be a bit more fair and more transparent. But if we go into 2019 and this continues to fall and crypto goes up, especially if we pass by right here, as of right now, the market is going down. If we end up passing, so the numbers that are being quoted right now is that if we pass by this like psychological $4,500 Bitcoin, we are a couple steps ahead. If we end up passing by I think it's a $5,000 Bitcoin, this is an indication that the bulls, if you will, may be back in the market. As of right now, the prices are down, not by a lot, especially in comparison to what we just had over the last 7 days. Bitcoin is down, for those who aren't watching, Bitcoin is down by 3%. It was up by 22% over the last week. Bitcoin Cash is down by 10%, up from 146%. XRP down 3, up from 25. So we are doing relatively well in comparison to where we were even just a week ago, when we had these crazy depressed prices. Everyone was talking about what's happening to the market. Why is everything crashing so and so and so? And, we had that really horrible sadness period. Tron is up by 61% over the last week. I think we could, and I want to say that the market should go back up. There has been no real negative news. I mean, even before in the past when we didn't even have any real negative news, the prices were still kind of going down. I don't know. I think it's like 90% hope and 10% think. Logically, there's no reason for the market to be going down. It would be nice if we had a nice push in the prices of the market to get us back over a $5,000 Bitcoin. I think that would be incredibly great, especially as we hit towards the end of the year. Typically, like especially if you look back at charts from the year before, people always look at where we were before as a defining factor for where we're going to be in the future. So if we end up having a very healthy price, i.e., I don't think we're going to hit 10,000. If we could have over a $5,000 Bitcoin going into 2019, I think it makes it then more believable for us to be able to have a like $40,000 Bitcoin as we go forward. I have to sneeze and I'm trying to hold it in. Sorry. Anyway. Okay. I think that's definitely going to do it for this video. The market's still doing, it's red right now, but look at where we just were. Like Waves is still up 65%. It's even up 7% right now. We're doing pretty okay. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Hope you're all having a great weekend. Hope you find a way to enjoy your weekend. I hope it's not raining wherever you are. Even if it is raining, invite some friends over, watch a movie, order some Domino's, do something fun. Thank you all once again for your support. I do appreciate it more than you could possibly begin to imagine. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. See you.